April. I'm great. How are you?
Good. I'm really glad to have you in the summit. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. This is exciting.
Yeah, Bobbi and I go way back for people who are watching. I think we've known each other now like 2 years, right?
I think it's pretty close to two. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because we met in February at that event like a couple
Yeah.
years ago, I think. So, awesome. So, yeah, so I'm really excited to have you. I didn't have very many people in the summit that I was close with personally, except for like you and Danny, who I just interviewed also. But why don't you tell people a little bit about yourself, where you're from, what you're into, those kinds of things?
Okay. Well, I live in Southern California, about 15 minutes from April. Um, and I'm originally from Idaho, but I've been here for a little while. And I love the sun. It's wonderful. I am a nutritionist, so I help coach women on eating for their goals and for improving their health.
Sweet. And how long have you been doing that?
I have been working with women on their health for 7 years now.
Nice.
I really transitioned into focusing more on the nutrition piece and becoming a nutritionist about 2.5 years ago.
Okay, because you were a personal trainer before that, right?
I was, yeah.
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 Awesome. So I guess the point of this summit, I feel like I say this in every interview, so I'm sorry to anyone who's watching and they're like, April, seriously? But just to like prep you, like I want women to see how it's possible for them to do the things they love, whether it's make a career out of it or just do it to like fill their soul.
Mhm.
Because I see a lot of lack when it comes to women living a purpose-filled life, and a life that like excites them and gets them like stoked to wake up in the morning, basically. So curious if what you do now does that for you, and I guess just dive into what that's like.
Okay. First of all, I love that because I agree with you that I don't think a lot of people have found a way to bring that passion into their life on a daily basis. So I'm glad you're doing this. Um, I do feel like a lot of what I do just excites me. I am a total foodie, big
Nice.
time. I love food. So for me to dive into nutrition with clients, just it really gets me really motivated. I love to cook and show them how to cook things, and really show people why food should be a focus in their life, not just for weight loss, but how it can make you feel long term, even down to things like how does it make your skin look?
Mm.
Like I just stuff like that really, I love that. And it gives me the ability to dive into the science of what food does for our body. And I'm also kind of a science, like a closet science geek. So
Yeah.
so it's fun, it's exciting. And when I can see someone finding nutrition that really does change how they feel, there's like nothing in the world that makes me feel that like lit up.
Yeah. Oh, I
Um,
love that.
yeah. So I actually had a client 2 days ago tell me she started a collagen supplement on my direction, and she's like, I haven't had to take a pain pill in 4 days.
Oh my God,
And
that's awesome.
that's why I do what I do. So
Yeah,
I love it.
that's rad. So, how did you figure out that this was like your passion, and like how did you step into it being your career?
My journey is kind of like twisty, windy road journey. So I've been essentially staying at home with my kids since they were born. And about 16 years ago, I started having chronic pain.
Mm.
I went, down the medical road to try and solve it, try and figure out what was going on. I had lots of medical interventions that really I didn't need, but I didn't know that back then. So I ended up finally being diagnosed with nerve damage. And through this whole period of time, I wasn't able to be very active. And so it impacted how I felt, my energy levels, and of course, my weight. So after figuring out, okay, this is something I'm going to have for the rest of my life, then it was, okay, how do I change everything else about my life so that I can still feel good, so that I can still look the way I want to look, and be there for my family and all of that, with energy. So I looked into exercise. What kind of exercise can I do that doesn't, like make my chronic pain worse? So that's when I decided to become a personal trainer, and really kind of dove into what works for my body, and then use that just trying to help other women as well. Over the course of that whole journey, I came to the realization that you can do all kinds of exercise, but if your nutrition is not on point, if it's not healthy, if it's not good, then your energy is still going to lag. Then you're still not going to feel 100%. And so I transitioned into the nutrition piece so that I could keep moving forward to just better health for myself too, knowing that it would help everybody that I want to serve out there in the world as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of the roundabout way I became a nutritionist.
That's awesome. So do you focus on helping people with chronic pain now, or is that kind of like just something that you happen to have experience with?
It's more of something that I just happen to have experience with. Chronic pain is one of those things where you can have someone like me who's very functional. It doesn't interrupt my daily life anymore. And then you have people who are on the much opposite, much further end of the spectrum, who it is debilitating to the point where they don't function in a normal, healthy daily manner. And I'm not in a position to focus on helping people like that. That's where, it's further beyond what my expertise is.
Yeah.
But because I've kind of shared my story, I do end up having people come to me and say, I'm dealing with joint pain. And I've had it for years and I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
So we work on the nutrition aspect of making those things better.
That's awesome. And it's so crazy how diet has such a huge effect on factors like that you wouldn't even consider, like your skin, like you said. And you've also helped me with gut health issues, hormones, chronic pain. Like, it's so crazy. And I also think it's really interesting that in my experience, I notice people when they start to like focus on their health, they first go towards exercise. Like working out for some reason is easier for people to dive into. And then diet always ends up being like the next thing because they're like, oh, okay, now I'm active. I'm still not really getting the results I want because I'm eating like 2 cheeseburgers a day or whatever it is. So I'm not feeling that great because I'm just eating fast food all the time. So I just think that's so interesting that that happened for you too, that in that order.
Yeah. Well, I think that if you look at kind of the history of the way we've been talked to in society about our health over the last 30 or 40 years, it's been very exercise focused.
Yeah.
So I think most people are like, I know that I'm supposed to do that, but they don't necessarily know what they're supposed to do about the food.
Right.
And it's interesting, you mentioned the gut health, which is something that I do focus on with my clients, is healing their gut.
Mm-hmm.
Because most people have no clue what any of that is. They don't know why they should focus on their gut, or even if they know that there's an issue, they don't know how to solve it, because that information just isn't as widespread as the exercise information. So I think that's probably why.
Totally. Yeah, I agree 100%. Because I mean, I didn't learn about gut health until I had already been in the health and fitness industry for a while. And I think now it's getting more popular and people are hearing more about it, but it's still not like mainstream by any means.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's unfortunate. And that is something that's part of the reason why I talk to my clients about it, because I want them to learn. And by educating them, hopefully they will go on to educate someone else, someone in their family, their children, and pass it along.
Yeah, definitely. So what would be like your advice to the lady who's watching, who is where you were like 8, 9 years ago? Maybe not necessarily having chronic pain, but she could be having joint pain. She might have kids running around and she doesn't know how to prioritize herself or her health. What would you say to her?
I would say, as a mom of 3 children, and I fully understand how we kind of get in this trap of we're busy, and our family usually ends up taking priority over everything else. You know, the kids have needs and desires and tantrums and everything else that comes along with that. That's precisely when you absolutely should focus on you. Even if that means it's only an hour a week, that you take an hour away to read a book, to meditate, to go get your nails done, to do a little bit extra with your hair or your makeup or something like that. Something that makes you feel like a woman, something that makes you feel like you matter, like you're a priority. And I say that that's when you should do it, when you're in the midst of all of that chaos with your children, because it will fuel your energy and you'll show up better for everybody else in your life too. So
Yeah.
I think we've heard a lot about how our kids need our time. Our kids need our focus. Our family needs our attention. The world needs us to show up for them. Our jobs need us to show up for them. And we forget that when we don't show up for us, that we don't show up for anybody else very well either.
Yeah.
So,
Totally.
yeah. So I would just say you've got to just set it on your calendar. Tell your spouse, your partner, your roommates, your kids, tell everybody, this is just non-negotiable because I matter and I'm going to be a better person by doing it.
Yeah. Well, and something that like I just thought of when you were saying that, especially these days, I feel like women are being pulled in so many different directions because now, we have careers, we have kids, we are like literally trying to do it all. And we're not focused on whatever it is we're doing in the moment because we're so scatterbrained. So then we're showing up even less effectively or powerfully for the people that we're trying to help or be there for. And like on top of not taking care of our diet and our bodies and our minds, it's like, are you even like doing them any favors at this point?
Yeah. Oh, exactly. Exactly. Like that whole multitasking thing that moms are supposed to be really good at.
Yeah.
It's a myth. It's totally a myth. We end up crazy
Yeah.
when we are trying to deal with too many things at once. So yeah, focusing in on
Right.
on some things, delegating things that you can delegate, and then just discarding stuff that doesn't matter. Like I'm a huge advocate for that. I mean, I've been a mom for a really, really long time. In fact, I'm in a new phase of momhood. My youngest daughter just moved out 2 weeks ago, so we are officially empty nesters. And so some of that like chaos filled home has changed. So I see my priorities changing, and I see even more how important it is for me to take the time to take care of me, because I would get lost in doing for everybody else for so long.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad that you have more time to do that now. Awesome. Well, I think that's really powerful for you to share because you are a mom of three. I've had other moms in the summit on before, and frankly, they all say the same thing. So hopefully this message is starting to sink in for some ladies that are listening and watching. So what we talk a lot about, like, your why and why it's important to figure out what your why is, because implementing new habits around your health or around pursuing a hobby or carving time out for self-care, whatever it is hard if you don't have like a very strong emotional attachment to why it's important for you. So just out of curiosity, especially now since you're an empty nester, like, what would you say your why is for continuing to focus on these things that you love so much?
I would say my why for the longest time has 100% been my family. And while it's still my family, I think that it's shifted to my why is my relationship with my husband.
Mm,
And in all reality, I have to take care of me to be good in that.
yeah.
I know I've had years early on where I didn't realize that.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really spend time taking care of my hair, putting on the makeup, the things that when I do take the time, I feel 10 times better.
Right.
But I didn't also realize that by not doing that, I was affecting how I was showing up for my family, or how I was showing up for my spouse too.
Yeah.
And the same goes for my exercise and my nutrition. I mean, if I don't feel good about me, then I'm not going to be able to feel good in helping my family just with whatever they have going on, or being the role model for my kids in how to build a healthy life too.
Right. And a
So
healthy relationship, it sounds like, with your husband.
yeah, absolutely. I think that in my life and in the way that I've lived my life for almost 2 decades, it's that is the rock for everything that I do. My family and my relationship with my husband gives me the ability to show up in whatever endeavors I put in front of me, and then also keeps me kind of in the space of realizing that I have to show up for me to be able to give to them as well. Does that
Yeah.
make sense?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, and I actually really love that you mentioned your husband specifically because no one's said that yet so far in the summit. I
Oh,
know. And that really resonates with me because I'm going to have my first child soon. And one piece of advice that I've gotten, I think you and I talked about it actually. A lady told me, two is soon going to be three, so don't forget about number two or something like that.
yep,
Basically saying, like, when you have kids or a family, like, don't forget about your partner,
yeah,
because that relationship is actually going to be there longer than your kids will probably be there.
yeah,
So
yeah. I mean, that is 100% true. And if I had spent all of my time taking care of my kids and forgetting about my partner and myself
right.
as they were growing up, I wouldn't have the relationship that I have now with my husband now that we have no kids in the house and it's quiet and it's totally different. Like it's wild. This last weekend was our first weekend that our daughter was gone, and it's like, okay, if I hadn't done all the prep work for the last almost 20 years, we wouldn't be enjoying ourselves this weekend.
You guys would be so awkward around each other. You'd be like, oh, hi.
Like, what do we do?
Who
We have
are
nothing
you?
in common. No, it's great, but I mean, I know that a lot of people are probably like, yeah, but your kids deserve your attention, and the husband will wait. And I'm just saying, just like I'm going to tell you that you won't wait, neither will your husband. So
Yeah.
you have to be a priority to you. Your spouse has to be a priority to you, and then your kids. will know how to put themselves at the top of their priority list when they're adults,
Yeah.
and they'll know how to do the same in their families too. So I
Yeah.
think that's super important.
So good. I love that. Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
It's cool. So what would you say, do you have any advice for someone who like really doesn't know what their why is, or maybe they're still feeling like disconnected from their passion or like anything that's really exciting them in life right now?
Yeah, I would say when you're at that point where it's just like nothing does it for you, nothing really gets to you, you kind of have to start with exploring little things.
Hmm.
So, for example, are you a reader? If you're a reader, maybe you need to pick up some books. Maybe you haven't done it in a long time. And then maybe you can find a series that's like, this is super exciting. If you're like me and you love to cook, maybe it's time that you go buy a new cookbook and you make every single recipe in there, good or bad. You just make them.
Mm-hmm.
Try them out. You do something new, something different. We are really, really good at getting stuck in our own rut. And sometimes that's why we feel like there's just no passion for anything.
Yeah.
So just trying a new recipe, trying a new food, trying a new restaurant. Um, heck, make your coffee differently.
Yeah.
Little things like that can change your perspective.
I really like that because in other interviews, we talk about like, well, and I say this a lot too, is like embrace the fear, like do the big scary thing, right? But some people just aren't there yet. Like that's a big ask, and I get that. You know, especially if you're not used to doing crazy things or anything like that. But like you just made it so simple. It's like it doesn't have to be like some big crazy climb a mountain or something. It's like literally just look at how you spend your time and your days. What are your routines? Do something really small to break out of that, and then you could be really surprised at what you discover.
Yeah. Oh yeah, totally. You and I, because we are entrepreneurs, we kind of are, we see the big scary and we dive in head first.
Yeah.
But I also know that outside of business and sometimes even in business, I don't want to deal with the big scary. I
Yeah.
just, it's too much energy, it's too much work, it's too much. And so I feel like when you can just get really, really into something very basic and just switch it up a little bit, then the big scary doesn't seem quite so scary.
Yeah. And your
Um,
cooking example, isn't that like a movie about like, I feel like that was a movie that came out in like the 90s where she literally picks up a cookbook and decides to make every recipe in it and then it like changes her whole life. I don't know
yeah,
what that was, but
I don't know, but I know which one you're talking about.
yeah,
Um,
it wasn't a great
yeah,
movie, but that was the concept.
yeah. I mean, I'm kind of a collector of cookbooks for that very reason because I don't want to get stuck in a rut and I like to try new things, and that's a safe way for me to branch out.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
great. That was really, really good, tangible advice. I feel like anybody watching this, if you got any piece of advice, that's probably the easiest one to implement like today, right now.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. We
Awesome.
don't have to have like these big, crazy, elaborate lives to be passionate about our life.
Right.
We
Yeah,
just
that's
don't.
true.
I think people would probably look at my life and be like, it's kind of boring. Kind of boring. Like I don't do a lot of different things.
Yeah.
But I look at my life and it's completely satisfying.
Yeah.
And I am very happy and joyful and excited for my days, even though I'm not doing a ton of really crazy, new, different things.
Yeah.
I've found the things that just make me feel good, and then I just add a little bit here and there.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's like genius. I love that so much. Because like the reality is most of us aren't going to be like, you know, the celebrities we follow or the Instagram influencers that we love or whatever. Like it's just not it's not our desire, it's just not in the cards, whatever it is. So, but that doesn't mean that your life has to be any less joyful or passionate or exciting. It's just how
Exactly.
you make it up to be.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. 100%. Yeah.
Amazing. That was good, Bobbi. That was really good.
Oh, God, thank you.
Awesome. So before I let you go, where can people follow you, find you, get more information on what you do?
So I am all over social media as Bobbi Bensky or Bobbi.Bensky. My website is bobbibensky.com. Very original, I know. But so that's where you can find me. I do blog. So when you check out my website, you can jump on my blog, and I write about food a lot. But also mindset and other aspects of nutrition too. And yeah, that's where you can find me. Facebook,
Cool.
Instagram. Yeah.
Sweet. Awesome. And we will be sure to link your freebie offer below. So everyone make sure you click that, get signed up for that because it's going to be awesome. You happen to know what your freebie is?
So I am not going to tell you like exactly what it is, but it is going to do with gut health because I think that that's a really important issue.
Cool. Awesome.
Yep. So make sure you grab it because we all could use a little help in that department.
Yeah,
for
sure. Yeah. And the benefits that it's going to bring about are like very widespreading. So,
Yes. On that note, I will just say when you focus in on your nutrition, your skin improves, your hair improves, your energy improves. It's not just stomach, it's not just digestive system related, but so many tangible things. Your nails improve. Like it's crazy how much changes. And yeah, that's me geeking out.
that's exciting. I'm going to download the freebie if I don't have it already. Awesome. Well, thank you again, Bobbi, for joining us in the summit and participating. And everyone go check her out, get to know her better.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. This is awesome. And I can't wait to see all of the other interviews too.
Yeah, they've all been great. So thank you. I'll see you later.
All right. Bye.